Hey everyone, welcome to week 7. I just wanted to go over some information for your final paper and also just a few announcements. So, being that it is week 7, a lot of you have been working to get some late assignments turned in. After Tuesday, there is a chance that late assignments will not be graded that are more than 1 week past due. So I focus in this last week on getting the rough drafts graded and sent back. And then the first late assignments that I tend to grade will be the late rough drafts because those SNHU policy is that as an instructor, we only have to give 1 week for late assignments to be turned in, and after that, they're technically zeros. I've been pretty lenient through the term as far as accepting work after that 1 week, and this week is kind of the only exception to that because there tend to be a lot of rough drafts that are turned in late. I don't always have time before my grades are due at the end of the term. We only have 2 days to get everything graded and submit final grades. So there is a big chance that other late work is not going to get graded. So I just wanted to put that out there so you guys are aware. I will try to grade late work, but the first priority are the rough drafts. So make sure that those get turned in if you haven't turned yours in yet. And then next week, the priority will be the final papers. So after this week, most likely other late work is not going to get graded. So if you're still working to get caught up, please take the next couple of days and get that all submitted by Tuesday. And after that, there is not a guarantee that it will get graded. So just make note of that on your calendar so that you know what's going on. Now, as far as the final paper, I'm getting ready to start grading rough drafts right now, but I wanted to go over before I get into that, on what your final paper should look like. I had a few questions this week and I posted this on the general questions board. You're going to start out with your title page, and then your introduction. In your introduction, you're going to have your thesis statement. I also posted on the general questions in another video about thesis statements. So these are not research questions. I know some of the final papers you've written in the past, you've had to research something and answer a question. This is not that type of paper. This is a basic research paper. So you're going to start with a thesis statement, a bold statement stating something that has been found already. So you're not going to answer a question. You're going to make a statement, and then back it up with your articles. So that is going to be in your introduction. Then you're going to need a body to your paper. This is where you are going to take the 2 to 4 articles that you reviewed and analyze those articles, and then put together a research paper. So just like any other research, if you're researching, one of your classmates is researching whether or not family and teacher support, like more support, leads to less depression and social anxiety in adolescence. So you would write up a thesis statement that backs that up, and then in your articles, you're going to look and say, according to such and such, this was done, this test was done, this study was done, and this proves the authors found that higher teacher support leads to 50% lower depression in the students that were tested. You're going to analyze those articles one by one in a research paper. So in the first article or the first set of authors found, and you're going to analyze it, put all the information in there, and then you're going to say, in another article, it was found this. And, you may find in one article that they did not meet their hypothesis. So you might say, authors such as so-and-so we're not able to find a correlation between anxiety and support. But however you write it, it's going to be the body of your paper. You're not putting your original literature review and annotated bibliography into the body of your paper. That was just an assignment to make sure you know how to analyze what you're reading. So you're going to write the body of your paper, and then you're going to wrap it up with a conclusion. Make sure you put some of those citations into your conclusion, because you want critical thinking. You want to say, you know, this is what I researched, this is what was proven, here is my thesis proven. And then after that, you'll add the original annotated bibliography, the original literature review. You do not need to add to those what you submitted unless on your feedback something was submitted incorrectly. You do not need to have more than 2 articles on your annotated bibliography, and you do not need to have more than 2 articles on your literature review. Just submit them corrected, but as they were. And then any additional resources or references you used, if you used the book a little bit, if you found something else online, add those in on your reference page. So that is the layout of your paper. I'm going to just quickly go over, hopefully this will, sorry, my computer crashed this morning, and so I'm using a different computer, so my recording is kind of small. Here is another example paper that shows you, we have an introduction with a good thesis statement. Technological innovations play a very influential role on individuals' daily lives. Children are intertwined with television and gaming systems. Adolescents are media driven. So they're going into the introduction, and then they state, here we go. There are 2 sides to the situation. There are negative implications that come from overwhelming presence of technology. For instance, older children and adolescents have access to visual portrayals of violent actions and sexual content, which was something that was not easily accessed in the past and is due to the increase in technological advancement. So this is where they have used a reference to back up what they were saying about technological innovations playing an important role in our lives. So they've stated their thesis and they've backed it up with research and gone into the body of their paper after the introduction. So they introduce the problem, talk about it, and then here they start in adolescence using different modes of media. So this is where they've used their articles to build a body to their paper. They talk about all the different articles and all the different tests, and then go into the conclusion of the paper, wrapping it up, annotated bibliography, original literature review, and then additional references. So that is what I'm looking for when I am grading your final paper. You will have some, if you submitted your paper by Sunday, I open them up into a document and make some suggested corrections. So you'll have good feedback to go off of. As long as you open that up and read through it, you'll have a good idea of what needs to be put into your paper. So this was the rubric for the rough draft. That this is where I was talking, you needed more than 2 scholarly resources. If you only have 2, you'll move into the proficient category. And then I have the rubric for the final paper. So these are the different elements that I look at every time I open a paper, and I just make sure that yours meets one of these: exemplary, proficient, needs improvement, not evident. So as you're writing your final paper, you might want to keep this open and just double check that you've done everything that you needed in order to get full credit. So those were the 2 things that I wanted to go over today, just running over the look of your final paper. Like I said, this is not a ask a research question and then answer it. This is make a statement and then show the evidence. show why that statement holds true, and then talk about the late assignments. So, like I said, you have until Tuesday if you have stuff from week 1, 2, 3, 4, week 5. If you have those assignments that have not been turned in, go ahead and get them in by Tuesday. After Tuesday, I will only grade week 6, 7, and 8 moving forward. Hopefully, unless if you have an extenuating circumstance, or we've talked about this prior, obviously though, you're in the hospital, something like that, I will take that into consideration. But otherwise, it's just, we're at the end of the term. You can't get what you need out of the class when you turn everything in at the last minute. It's not how the course was designed. And there's not enough time to grade all of that. So my grades are due the Tuesday after our course ends. So that only gives me almost a day and a half to get everything graded. So I won't be able to accept anything after Tuesday for anything prior to week 6. So make sure you make good use of your time in the next few days. Please reach out if you have any questions. You'll see 2 sample final papers on the discussion board that you can look at to kind of get an idea of the format. And I hope you guys have a great week.